Hello, welcome back. I'm Savalian. I make videos about games development and creativity, and I'm done with NaNoWriMo, so I'm ready to immediately dive into another project without any rest time in between, which I'm sure is healthy and normal. But basically, this year I'm doing a little casual self-imposed challenge that I call Game Dev December. I did this last year. I mostly posted on Instagram last year, but honestly, Instagram's a little dead. I didn't get a lot of feedback or views even. Nobody even saw a lot of the things I posted on Instagram. So instead of going through all the effort of formatting a daily post and writing up the caption and blah 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 blah, I'm just gonna do Game Dev December and collect my updates for videos. So there'll be fewer updates going out, but I'll still be doing the work each day. But the only requirement for Game Dev December in this challenge that I'm sure someone else has done something called Game Dev December that I haven't heard of with different rules, but the way I do it is I just want to work on my game every day in December. What I might do, which I think I did last year, is stop after Christmas, kind of like an advent calendar or like Vlogmas, just because it tends to get a little bit overwhelming in the holidays, and it's also a time of year where I take some time off of my day job, and I'm predicting that I will just need a little bit of a rest based on how I'm feeling now and how I'm expecting the rest of this month to go. So that's it. Simple plan, do some game work every day, document it, and then share it with somebody. By the end of December, I should have a tiny little pile of accomplishments. I am focusing on the fishing game that I started, a month ago, I guess, now, after the big Unity debacle. But the first thing that I need to do for any challenge, honestly, is plan out my work, plan out what I'm gonna do, plan out when I'm gonna do it. And I've had this whiteboard, Kanban, set up since May 2023, and it's had a lot of tasks on it that I haven't considered active tasks for several months. So it's time to reset that, take all the old Project Caribou tasks down, and put up some new ones related to my fishing game that I'm working on. I should think of a name for this game sooner rather than later, since Project Caribou never did have a name. Maybe if it did, I would have felt differently about it, I don't know. And as with any planning, the first thing I did was sit down, brainstorm, just come up with all kinds of things that I could do, write them down, and then narrow down what it is I actually want to keep. So part of this work I did in a previous video where I looked at fishing mechanics in different games, and then the past week when I've had time, I've just done some sort of traditional brainstorming, typing thoughts out on a document or writing. I have this guy, it's a books note C or something. I'm planning to do a review on this. I just haven't had the time, literally at all, to sit down and organize my thoughts. But I've been using the e-ink tablet as another brainstorming space, and I've come up with, I think, a good set of features that I want it to have, an idea of how I want the game to flow, the loop of the game. And I'm trying really hard to keep it simple. Because one of the things that happened with Project Caribou, and that's happened with other game projects in the past, is that they get out of hand, and then as I'm working on them, some projects that this has happened to have been team projects with other people, they get so sloggy that nobody wants to finish them. Or nobody can finish them because we've started making all these pieces, but they don't quite fit together the way that we imagined. And so I'm trying very hard not to let that happen with this game, and part of that effort is this planning phase. So I still didn't give myself enough time to plan before Game Dev December started, and I say that because when I started working on this plan, it was already December. It was December 1st when I really nailed down a lot of the features that I wanted, and so as I've been working on that, I've also been diving into some of the easier tasks that I'm definitely sure that I need. And the first thing I did on December 1st was a water shader. Now I did pretty much follow a tutorial wholesale for this one because I was not quite familiar with the process for making shaders in Godot, but spoiler alert, shaders are kind of the same everywhere. I probably could have just winged it if I wanted to, but one thing I did learn going through the tutorial that I may not have found on my own is that Godot has a pretty robust noise texture generation tool built into it, and I am delighted. I think this is so nice. It really makes a lot of very common types of shaders much easier if you don't have to go and get a noise texture that you can use. So I'm very happy with this. I think it's called Fast Noise Light or something like that. But it's built into Godot, which is very cool. And I used the tutorial from Stay at Home Dev. If you just search water shader Godot, I'm sure you can find it. I'll try to link it if I remember. But it's very easy to follow. I might go back into the shader and try to make it a little bit more stylized, but for now, it's perfect. It looks like water. It's got waves in it. And I think the edge detection is going to make another feature that I want to work on soon a little bit easier. So we'll see about that. So as I was planning all of this stuff, I took a little break, did some work, went back to planning, and as a first step, I outlined all the features in Obsidian. This is kind of the note app that I'm using right now. I've talked about it before, but even this is still pretty much like a living document, a brainstorm space. Nothing here is really final, and this is kind of the game I'm envisioning right now. Of course, this may change because I'm gonna change and my thoughts are gonna change as I work on this, but what I'm kind of envisioning is the player is, fishing, obviously, and they go on these fishing runs. I wanted to play with some procedural generation for the islands, so they go out to these islands, they do their fishing, and it's kind of like a roguelite setup where they have multiple choices or random events that can happen as they're fishing, and then when they come back they have this haul, they get a score, and they can choose which of these fish that they want to keep or which of these fish they want to get rid of. And then, this is the part of my design that's kind of fuzzy still. I want to have some kind of shop where they can sell the fish and display the fish. I'm not really sure what I want that to look like yet. I've been thinking about it. I have some ideas sort of swooshing around in here, but I'm still thinking about what I want it to look like, whether I want there to be like physical customers, if that's part of the game, or if it's more like algorithm based where, they make sales throughout the day based on some math. So I'm still thinking about how I want all of that to look, but I want there to be debt repayment, because if you know me, I'm a weird little freak who loves paying off debt in video games. So I'm sharing that sickness with everyone else by adding a debt mechanic into my game. So the goal of all this is to be collecting more rare fish, generating more money so that you can pay off your debt. Still working on the story around that, but that's kind of the loop. A lot of this, as you can see, is still in flight. Once I had my list of features, and these features were broken down into tasks, I wanted to get these onto my Kanban board, either way, I wanted to get these on the board and organized so that I always know what I have to work on next. And one of my internet friends, Desfert, he has a Twitch stream. I'm not sure if he has other public-facing social media, but I'll link his Twitch below. He's also doing Game Dev December, kind of his own style. He's gonna do this a little bit more game jam style, as far as I can tell. But he's using ClickUp for task management. And if you've been here a while, I did a review on ClickUp a while back. I like ClickUp, but I haven't really used it enough to really see what its strengths are. So naturally I copied Desfert's idea and I started a new space in ClickUp, and I discovered the whiteboard feature. I can't remember if this existed when I did my review, but I did not use it, I didn't try it out, but it is very cool. The only problem is, and I'm mentioning this so you don't fall into the same pit that I did, in the whiteboard there's a mind map, and I guess there were mind maps outside the whiteboard before, because when I tried to Google this problem I had, I could not find anything useful because it's all referring to this older version of the mind map. But the mind map makes things very easy to type in, but you cannot convert the little nodes of the mind map to tasks later. So the tutorial for the whiteboard will tell you anything with text can be converted to a task. That does not apply to mind map nodes. So I ended up spending time going through, typing out my thoughts, splitting out these tasks into little feature sections with the mind map, and then I couldn't make tasks out of them, so I ended up having to make those manually. Oh man. Anyway, click up if you're watching. This was very frustrating for me. Maybe you should fix it. It is a recommendation on their forums already, like a feature request, but anyway, once I got everything done, I did have my tasks in ClickUp. They're pretty bare bones. They basically just have a title and nothing else. So I'm kind of counting on my other documentation here to support that. And then I also have some tasks that are just not planned out right now that I probably won't get to in December because this is a lot of stuff. This is a lot of stuff, and I don't expect to finish all of this in 1 month or in 25 days, whatever it ends up being. But I have plenty to do. I'm ready to go. Now I could go in here and add time, due dates, schedules for these. There's a lot of features that will let me do that in ClickUp, but I kind of want to just leave everything in a big bucket and come into this list when I need something to work on and pick whatever sounds the most fun. That's worked really well for me in the past for Game Dev December and for other challenges like this. So I think I'm going to do that and just work on what feels right. So now we have a whole bunch of tasks in ClickUp, but I want something visual to look at on my board here. So the whiteboard, the physical whiteboard that I have with the Kanban square things is less for managing tasks and more for motivation. So I see this whenever I sit down at my desk. It's always here. It reminds me what I'm doing, what I want to do. It inspires me. I might see something on there and think, oh, that looks kind of fun, and then get to work. So while I have the very detailed, like technical tasks in ClickUp, the ones I'm putting on my whiteboard are a little bit more general, a little bit more descriptive, and they're kind of meant to keep an overview rather than the detailed view that I have in ClickUp. So I hope that makes sense. And these little cards are just magnetic. They stick right on the whiteboard with magnets. And I just got them off Amazon. They have a little color code around the edge, and that's why I picked these ones, because I liked the colors and the amount that were available and kind of the shape. The long skinny shape makes it easier to write like tasks on these, where like if they were little squares, it would be kind of hard to fit the tasks on there. They would be a little bit harder to work with, at least for me. So that's why I like these. But there's a lot of different kinds on Amazon. You could definitely find something that fits your needs, but there it is. There's my Kanban board. Well, that's it. This is the first of what I think will be a month pretty tightly packed with game dev videos as I get into my fishing game and start working on it every day. And I'm excited to get back to game dev because I know a lot of you found me through earlier game dev videos, mostly around the Unity situation. But I hope you like this. I'm really excited about some of the things I'm going to be working on this month, and I'm going to try and record and include as much of that in little vlog type updates like this as much as I can. But that's all for now. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, because I'll be back soon with another video, and I hope to see you there. Bye bye!